My name's Jenna Clifford, and ultimately I think I am an artist, and the artist is not just defined with jewels. It's artistry with the natural flora and fauna, apart from women, children, men, and all the civil interests. I love gardening and I love art. So art by design, even if it's human life, pills of wisdom. I'm Jenna Clifford. I think from a little girl, I was never really clever. And I think when you go to school as a young child, girl or boy, if you're marginalized within the left brain developments, the schooling system, you're always either known as naughty or stupid. So I was just known as stupid. But that then gives the right side of the brain the creativity. So never fear whether you off both lobes, a highly intelligent person with art behind you. Never give up. My impediment of me being artistic and the commercial world wanting degrees or wanting diplomas or wanting formalized or wanting some form of prior, I couldn't get in. So I had to become an entrepreneur because nobody wanted me. Just goes to show what people throw away sometimes with talent. They do it within the arts, all art forms from dancing to Hollywood, and people get relegated. Never be relegated. Your talent will always shine through, and as Maxwell says, you need 10,000 hours of doing something well to shine. As a little girl, I was exposed by my grandparents to books. Helen Keller was born blind and mute. It didn't stop her from writing and getting her message out over there. So I still think one must always look in life for inspiration and always look up and don't look down. So it doesn't matter how much one is marginalized, where there is a will, there's always a way. And some of our experiences define us. We might not like them at the time, but they pay wonderful homage to us later. So one must always have that trust. And whatever we do, if we do it with love and with intention to the best of our ability, you are eventually seen. And with all beings, a lot of people are our specialists. It's I, me, my, and not about us. They then invert that to do the we by your sheer talent, determination, and leaning in. So Zandberg said with women, lean in. And I think leaning in is with your soul, with your mind, and your physical body. You've got to really want to do something. We all start at the bottom in some ways, juniors. When we're born, we're not running a race like Bolt. We first have to learn to lie, to roll, and to crawl. And then we can start to stand, and then we can start to walk, and then we can start to run. So there's always a process, and I think one must be very gentle with oneself because you are a child of God. And the universe always knows the correct timing. Don't fight it. Believe. Most people don't believe. You've got to believe in yourself and believe in the greater universe that ultimately gave you life force. Sure, I've had what I would term as one hell of a life in one respect where it's hell. But I've also enjoyed heaven. For every night, there is a day. So it's a question of deeply understanding that the system is corrupted. It's a patriarchal system. It serves only the few at the top globally. That has to change. Bird flies with two wings. I think patriarchy just crippled the one. And if we look at the natural world now, there's 6% left of the natural world. We are an overpopulace on the planet at the moment. It can take 6 billion. We're way past that. I think women must take on their own power of their own birthing, their own minds, their own wantonness. And women have a front orbital lobe that is thicker and not as diminished as the male, which means they've got copious amounts of love and empath. And I think love is the growing being. The judgmental, the vilification, and the keeping people down and the pointing of fingers has to stop. Something that I think all entrepreneurs suffer with is, where do I get the money? Where do I get the funding? And within the DTI and banks, etc., it's still very scary because whatever you borrow, you've got to pay back. So I always say, start very, very small. Don't always give a huge show. Because invariably, whatever you're doing in entrepreneurship, whether it's involving a product or IP that you're selling or something in line with non-tangible training. The first belief system starts with yourself. Can you do the competency? That's why I always go rather smaller and gain the competency and express it yourself. I think by going to any fiscal and getting the lean, it gives you extra worry. So whatever you start, if you start small and you start compounding, also working, if you've been working for a company and you're earning a salary, most people spend all their money because they don't ever think about tomorrow. Always try and save 20% of your salary, even if you are tight. You'll be amazed how you can save money by not running to restaurants, not going to fast food joints, not going to buy that nice pair of shoes that you're dying for. That is your seed capital. Most people don't ask questions because patriarchy and the dominion of businesses and schools is always authoritative. One always has the bosses on the top and the underlings on, and they will not ask because they're scared to ask. There's nothing wrong with asking a question. Nothing. You learn something. I think the 1956 movement was instrumental in this country because for the first time women stood together. And first we had one day. Oh wow, out of 365 we were granted one day. Isn't that amazing? Then it became the months of Women's Month. I think in parity it should always be celebrated, the balance. So we shouldn't really be having things like this, but for the sake of corporates and tick the box, we still do. I think we've got to get beyond that. I think all conscious humans know, like a mother and a father, like a husband and a wife, they go together in parity. I think we've got to start looking at that and seeing the excellence of the feminine and the excellence of the male, because the two together make harmony. So I'd like to see the obliteration of a Women's Day further down the line and the Women's Month, because parity is needed. And men obviously don't need to have a Men's Day because they've had all days, all years. And I think from the Roman Judaic collusion of Constantine, it's thousands of years. It's enough now. Men, real men, know their mothers, their sisters are as good as them. They wouldn't have life without them. So it's time to stop the relegation, and we are not just cows in a labola. Correct. We are children of God, just like the men that we love.